In terms of what will happen next with online teaching, I think, as I've touched on in the presentation, I think the main thing is that teachers who've been teaching online have a whole host of new skills now that they've acquired from the experience of teaching online. And those skills now become part of the toolbox. And for example, that you can use a digital course book, that you can blend a course, engage with the student, maybe do their initial needs analysis or placement before ever meeting them physically. That becomes a big part of it. That you can maybe add a supplement to a course as well with a quick online tutorial using Zoom or one of the other tools to keep in touch with the student, maybe after they finish their classroom course. So return to classrooms doesn't mean an end to those skills being used. And online teaching, obviously, that will still continue in a separate stream, but I can see much more blending and convergence of classroom teaching and the skills we've all picked up from online teaching going into blended courses, and then hybrid is another area as well. You can see that becoming more blended and less distinction from, whereas in the past somebody teaching online would have maybe been doing it in isolation in a living room and it was entirely separate to the classroom. I can see those two things coming together quite a bit more, and more presence from language schools like ourselves and others in the online classes, especially with blended courses. I would say alternatives to Zoom definitely should be considered to any resource. We, for example, went to Zoom as the path of least resistance when we started teaching online. It had the recognition, it had the accessibility, there weren't too many barriers, it wasn't too expensive, it was the easiest one to start teaching online with. But there are different resources out there today that weren't there a year and a half ago. There are things that are specifically adapted for virtual classrooms. They're incorporating resources as well. So it's not maybe a corporate or meeting software being, kind of shoved into a learning space. You've actually got things that are specifically designed for learning. So I think it's important to have an open mind when it comes to technology. The migration from one to another, if you do change, it maybe isn't as big as it appears to be. The skills generally carry over. One platform doesn't look massively different to another. Zoom maybe are the first in that they figured out how to go about it, but going into a different one, it won't be drastically different. You're talking buttons in different places, superficial differences. So I think the other resources very much should be considered as alternatives, and I think it's important to keep an open mind with it.